quickly and then take a lunch break. I'm happy to move that in order of precedence, we bring agenda item 11 forward.
Okay, so I just need to, I don't really want to do this by motion. The last planning committee, I was reprimanded for going through too long without a break. And I know people want to sustain themselves and do other things.
Well, they should have had a bigger breakfast. Come on.
So,
Boiled egg, it's very
members,
sustaining.
do you want to not have lunch? Because I need to open that
lunch.
workshop at 1:30.
I didn't say that.
What she's saying is put the item forward, and I think we've had a lot
It'll
of
only
discussion.
take
If we
5
don't
minutes.
debate it,
Yeah.
it might be able to be done quite quickly, Mr. Chair.
Consensus, let's
Okay,
do it.
are you prepared to shorten?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
let's have a look
well,
at the
for
amended
10
we'll go
minutes.
straight to that item now.
Let's have a look at the
Are
amended
the staff available for that item? Yes, John. What page is it on? Let's go straight to it then. 67. Welcome, John.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think we're simply happy to answer any questions that the committee may have.
Okay, let's take it as read. Well, John, can you reflect on, have the matters that were raised this morning, by the chair of Puka Te Papa, Harry Doig, have they been relayed to you?
They have, yes.
Do you just want to reflect on why your report is in this form and does not reflect other matters that were referred to there? And can you
yes.
then also reflect on the motions on the screen?
Right. Well, this report was drafted simply to complete the statutory process under the Resource Management Act of taking a plan change through for Three Kings. It was a private plan change lodged by Fletcher's round about the third quarter of last year. It was adopted by the council as a council plan change. It's been through a submissions process, hearing, decision by independent commissioners, no appeals. So it's now it's the last formal step under the RMA, as most councillors are aware, of making the plan change operative because we have no appeals. There is a resolution of planning committee from earlier last year, I think it was May last year, to explore options for a subsequent land exchange. So as well as the plan change for Three Kings, there is a land exchange with Fletcher's that the two are very much in harmony with one another. But in May last year, there was a discussion with the committee. It was a confidential item at the time, but there was a resolution to put the decisions of the committee at that time on the open agenda once the plan change was notified, so I can speak to it. And basically what you agreed at that time was that officers should work with Fletcher's to explore a subsequent land exchange, which involves potentially Fletcher's no longer developing on land that they can develop under the plan change and the first land exchange if an alternative site can be found for a council works depot in the Three Kings area. So that is a matter that's still being explored. The latest information I have is that we're waiting for Fletcher's to come back to us with some information on that, but it's really being led by our operations colleagues rather than the planning staff. But certainly we are aware of the need to continue to work with Fletcher's to progress the committee's desire to see if there's a possibility of a subsequent land exchange.
Okay, thank you, John.
Answers the question.
Members, I'll move what's in the red, which is a slight change to the original officer's recommendation, and I'll put that up to start with. Do I have a second?
Happy to second.
Councillor Cooper, thank you. And then I will go to initial questions. Questions?
We have foreshadowed an amendment, as you know.
Councillor Walker.
Yeah, given the evidence or the arguments that Harry was putting, is it necessary for us to advance this now rather than conclude these other negotiations with Fletcher so that we've got some certainty?
John?
The process of approving and making a plan change operative is really an administrative step. The plan change now has full force, so it's really just a peculiarity of the RMA that while we've made a decision as council on the plan change and there are no appeals, it's very much a formality. So to my mind, it really makes sense to conclude this part of the process. It really is quite separate to what may or may not happen in terms of a future land exchange. So I really don't see any reason why we would hold up the final formal step of making the plan change operative. I think it would be a little bit unusual to do that at this point, given that the appeal period has closed. I can't see any reason why we would do that. There's no advantage to council, Fletchers, or any other interested parties in delaying making the plan change operative.
And I just remind members that Chair Harry Doig did say that the Puketapapa board supported this step. It wanted it to be noted that there was another body of work that was yet to be completed. And so that's what the C reflects. But before the paper, on the paper, I don't have any officer's detail on that body of work. And it's difficult for me as a chair to formulate a motion without any factual material in front of me that reflects the detail of that work. All I can do, and I believe we can do, is to note it generally, and we've heard that, and I will ask for on our work program to get an update on that body of work and bring it to this committee. But at this stage, it is important that we follow this next step, keeping in mind there were no appeals on this, none whatsoever, and it has the board's support.
So,
Just one point of order, it may not be a point of order, but it might
Probably
be
isn't.
might be useful. I like to get away with those. It might be useful to put up the amendments that Councillor Fletcher and myself, because it may help placate some of the issues, for example, that Councillor Walker's come up with. So.
Okay, let's put up those amendments.
Mr Chairman, in speaking, if I may, to the amendments in the name of myself and Councillor Clow.
Can I just ask, before you do, can I just ask the staff to respond to the amendments?
May I very politely remind you that we have been working with the staff during the morning to try and find some wording, and I thank Megan very sincerely and the other staff that we have been working with to accommodate all of the concerns that have been raised, and these have been well modified. I understood that it would have actually met with the approval of going into your recommendation, but it would be good to get feedback. But what is of great importance here is just keeping open the opportunity for the future, and it's just noting, it's not directing. Graham Breed Drive is a dead end at the moment, and there are communities to the west that would benefit greatly from some connectivity. And I think in the drama that has gone on for several years over the Three Kings development, and there's been a lot of vitriol and things, and it's been wonderful that the Mayor showed the leadership to bring all the parties together. We have lost sight of the importance of actually ensuring that those communities can be connected. And this is an opportunity for consideration of that. It's just noting it, and it will be really important that we report back on it. And that was the date that was suggested by the officers, the first quarter of next year.
Okay, that's good. Look, John, can I just check with you that the D and the E are quite different to what I saw earlier. They were a lot more lengthy and more detailed. They've been abbreviated now. As I read them, I don't have issue with this because it is a noting, and it's noting that there's a report that is coming, which I just referred to. So I'm happy, but I need to check with you as the professional leading this body of work, for those to just be incorporated. Are you comfortable with those being incorporated, the D and the E?
Mr Chair, comfortable with E. I guess the challenge with D, perhaps not so much for myself and the team here, but perhaps for the committee, is you really have to be familiar with the area, the geography, the issues, what it actually means. And so on the face of it, I can see there's an important, it's a logical, sensible connection. But if you go back to the May decision of the committee that I referred to, prior to Fletcher's lodging the private plan change request, there was a resolution to explore a subsequent land exchange, and in the detail of that, there was no discussion around this connection. So it's an issue that I think really for the committee, you need a bit more information to say that this is of strategic importance, and just to note that it would require not just, my understanding of it is not just Fletcher's to be at the table, but Housing New Zealand own land between the Graham Breed Drive and the communities to the west. So I just feel a bit uncomfortable with D for those reasons.
We don't have, the problem is, members, we don't have any detail before us. We've only heard it from, it's been conveyed orally here today from the chair of the board, but we don't have anything material from our staff on this because it was not that sort of report. So I'm listening to our plans and places manager, and I have concern about the D. I'm happy to incorporate the E, but we don't have anything before us on D.
I think I'm next. So
Well, we had a whole lot of questions.
I just want to
before that.
well, we're speaking to the amendment, I'm assuming. I mean, the important thing of D is it doesn't say road link, it says link. I mean, that is really quite an important change to perhaps what local board was presenting to emphasise. It can end up a road, but we're just talking about a link. And in reality, E will just replace your C. So if we put the amendment, I presume D would become C and E would become D. It's, the fact E is just a bit more precise in that it's asking the report to come back at the start of the first quarter. I'm not going to make a great speech on it, but I just remember the Puka Papa Local Board has been very, very consistent about the link. And indeed, that was the thing where it got my support for delaying the project, delaying things a bit while that was further progressed, and it's gone somewhere, but not necessarily. But that has been their main concern right back when Michael Wood was the chair. Oh, sorry, Julie was the chair, and Michael Wood was on that committee as well. So I think it's fairly harmless. It's just noting the strategic importance of a link, and whatever. If the professional advice comes back, it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But that's all we're asking for.
Okay, thank you. Other questions on this? Okay, so at the moment I've got, oh, sorry, Councillor Cooper, you did.
It relates to this as well. So to me, I don't understand why we're doing this now. This is completely separate to a plan change. And I think we're muddling the waters. Why isn't this something you just ask in your planning with your future work plan, put it in that to come back to the planning committee? And that's my question. And why would this be now? We're making a plan change operative. This is not, you know, my understanding is this doesn't go into the plan change. It's separate. And that, I'm just wondering about the kind of, not about legality, but if, yeah, it's separate. So I think it's really irregular and it doesn't sit well.
So I've double checked and asked a few of our staff whether this is appropriate. I'm told it's not best practice at all because we don't have the material on the agenda, but the staff can live with it. Okay, so I'm trying to just work this one through as intended at the outset. So I'm happy to, Councillor Cooper, you happy to incorporate, having heard that advice?
What I want to understand is this is not plan change work. So where does it sit? And so you've got Mr. Dogood here sitting here going, well, you know, it's not really part of his work, and also the word strategic is a bit, I mean, we don't even know if it's strategic. It might be important, and I'm not taking away the importance, but I'm happy for it to go into the substantive.
I'm sure Councillor Clough and I are happy to remove the
quite
word
happy to remove
strategic and just leave important.
It is important to this community, but it's not regionally strategic.
Okay, thank you. Good point. Can we just incorporate that then?
Road as well.
Should we just shift that to be incorporated?
Yeah.
Happy?
I think Councillor Clough pointed out that possibly E and C are quite synonymous. Oh, sorry.
No, C is still necessary.
So E and C, the current E and C now, similar?
E is just a little bit more precise than C.
Okay, we are going to bring a report, which is what I said at the outset. Can we just quickly tidy up the C and the E so that we're not repeating things? Everybody in agreement then? So we're going to run with the A, B, C in red, or A, B in red, the C and the E are being worked at the moment, and then we will have the D as well,
You
noting the
just say
importance of that link.
including the importance, for C, add including the importance of a provision of link. In the what?
Yep, in the
Wider
D.
development scheme, including, and then just put that bit of D into C. Oh, no.
Just a minute, the staff are working on it. All good?
Sorry, just for correctness, it's Graham Breed with a B, not Graham
Yeah,
Reed.
that's right. B-R-E-E-D.
And it's Graham with an E on the end.
Yes, it is. Graham. I went to school with some of his family at May Road
Okay,
School.
so we can just
Yep, we'll move that up.
We can move it.
move it up and satisfy Councillor Fletcher?
That's fine.
Councillor Clow?
Thank you.
Good. Look, I'm happy to take my move, even though we discussed it, I'm happy to defer to Councillor Fletcher for the move. And Councillor Clow?
I'd like to second. Thank
Yep,
you.
fine.
Is that, oh, sorry, is
Yeah,
that
fine,
okay, Councillor
fine.
Kruger?
Just wanted to get it on the table
Chair.
for discussion, Mr.
Good.
Chair.
All those in favour say aye.
Chair, just
Aye.
Aye, currently, against no, declare that carried. Thank you. All good.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, we're going to,
Just
Five
a small
again.
comment, nothing about the resolutions,
All right,
if I may.
he's had his.
we are, I'm sorry, we're going to have to take it offline, Harry. We are really short on time. We absolutely,
I think just give them the assurance you'll have the consultation prior to the report coming back.
yeah, is it brief, Harry? Because
Yes, it is
I
very
needed to hear
brief.
this before.
And it fills me with great concern to hear Mr. Dogood using words like explore, something that may or may not happen. This was an agreement that the council endorsed, agreement between two parties that the council endorsed, that was a total package. It wasn't, oh, we'll do this and then we may or may not do that. And that fills me with horror, really, that
Okay,
that's
look,
the attitude that
No,
council
Harry, you
officers
don't
are
need to be
taking.
filled with horror.
Well, I am.
The officers are coming to this quite cold because they were not expecting your submission
Yeah, no,
this
but
morning.
the attitude that was being
No,
expressed.
it's not an attitude, and I have
Well,
total
okay, well,
confidence
take
in the
your
manager of
assurance
plans
that
and
that's not
places.
not
So
the
we'll
attitude.
stand adjourned 1:30 for the workshop.
Well, it doesn't take.